clash between the youth of the area and some military personnel sent to arrest the overlord of the Mamprogu traditional area and a newly installed Boko Naba. We're live there shortly as youth in the area reportedly mobilized in anticipation of the return of the military. And later, government to face an uphill task in approving minister designates for some key positions as the minority in parliament vows strongly not to approve the nominees following an earlier directive from the party leadership of the National Democratic Congress. We're live in Parliament where the vetting of Minister Designate for Trade and Industry, the Honourable Katie Hammond, is currently underway. Stay with us for details. A pleasure that you could be a part of us this afternoon. The bulletin is streaming live on Facebook as well, the handle 3FM927, and on Twitter as well as on YouTube. I am Eric Mawina Egbert. I will be taking you to Parliament pretty shortly to get details as to exactly what's happening in relation to the ongoing vetting process of the Honourable Katie Hammond. He's the MP for Adanse Asokwa. But let's take you up north to start off this afternoon's bulletin, because the youth in Nalerugu have been reacting following the mobilization and a clash between some military men yesterday, and they are anticipating the return of the military sent to arrest the overlord of Mamprogu and the new rival chief of Boko. The youth of the area clashed with some soldiers Sunday night after they tried to arrest Nairi Na Bahagu Muhammad Abdullah Sheriga, overlord of Mamprogu, and Na Alhaji Saidu Abagri, the new rival chief of Boko. The botched arrest followed a warrant issued by the Bogatanga High Court for their role in the enskinment of the rival chief. The youth who protested the action vandalized the Nalerugu police station and the regional offices of the governing New Patriotic Party. They vowed to resist any attempt to pick the two over the matter. Christopher Mwako is my colleague, is joining us on phone with details from the area. So Chris, talk to us about the current situation in the Nalerugu community.
So, Mawena, earlier, about 1 hour ago, the youth in Nalerugu had mobilized to the Nayuri's palace because according to them, they got information that the military personnel are likely to return to the community to arrest the rival chief and the overlord of the Mamprogu kingdom, Namami Sheriga. So they had gone there to wait for the military in case they come. Then they will see how they'll be able to pick the overlord up. And aside that, the youth have been registering their displeasure and speaking about the whole incident that happened between 12 and 1 a.m. Today. And for them, they have enskined the new chief, and there is nothing that is stopping them from taking the chief to Boko as the rightful chief of the area. One of the youth leaders has been speaking with us.
We are not happy with what is happening because we were told that a military men are coming from Upper East to come and arrest the Nairi and the newly enskined Bokunaba to the government quarters or to Accra for them to be sanctioned. Then we ask ourselves, what is the offense of the Nairi? What has he done for you to come and arrest him? You cannot arrest him on that accord. Then they said, we should wait for them to come. When they come, we will hear. We thought it was a joke because it has never happened and it can't happen. We won't allow it. You can come from heaven, you can come from wherever. We will not allow you to arrest anybody. Not even a fowl will we allow you to arrest.
So that's one of the youth leaders speaking quite strongly. But the indication we get is that it's not just in Nalerugu that this is causing tensions. There are ripple effects in Wale Wale as well. What do we know about that?
in Walwale as well. Some of the youth have besieged some principal streets and burning lorry tires and also registering their displeasure over the military operation that took place in Nalergu yesterday. And for them, because Walwale is the center of the region and every access road that goes towards the Boku area is through the Walwale area. So for the information I'm gathering is that could be the reason why the youth in the area are also doing that and burning lorry tires. We are yet to get confirmation from the police and other stakeholders in the Walwale area as to the exact reason why these youth are doing it. But the information is that some youth groups are burning lorry tires on the principal streets of Walwale.
Right then, Christopher, we'll come back to you in the course of the bulletin and throughout the day to get a lot more from you on this. But that's my colleague Christopher Marco in the area providing details as to exactly what the situation is. And so not just in Nalergu, as he's been telling us about, that the northeast regional capital as well, Walewale, the indication is that there's a burning of tires as well as a result of the incident from yesterday. We're going on to the other telephone line and speak to security analyst Adib Sani for some more on this. Many thanks, Mr. Adib, for speaking to us. We spoke to you last week when all of this was beginning to play out and there were calls for urgent government intervention. Would you say the approach to have gone in the middle of the night to want to arrest the Nayele and the rival chief, if we should call him that, was the best of approaches?
It was the worst, most inefficient, most naive approach I've ever seen. In fact, it could have even been worse, to be honest with you. And it was more or less a complicated situation. And we do also understand the fact that the laws should be upheld. We shouldn't condone whatsoever illegality. But this is a very sensitive matter. We are talking about an overload of an area with millions, perhaps, of tribesmates. So when you are dealing with it, you have to be extremely tactical. You have to be extremely careful. But you just don't wake up in the middle of the night in a convoy and decide to go and effect such a very, very sensitive arrest. Okay? So I think it is wrong. Not what they went to do, because he's not above the law.
Right.
But what I mean by it is wrong is the approach.
But what would you say to those who make the case strongly that there was a police warrant and had someone not tipped off the youth, they could have carried out the arrest successfully, because it appeared the youth were well aware and very much prepared for their arrival. They had got wind of some information suggesting that there was going to be an arrest in the middle of the night.
Obviously, the timing was wrong because there was an information out there about a court, arrest warrant, something like that. And so the people were already anticipating that a move would be made. Secondly, if you are coming to arrest me, it would definitely, the modus would definitely be different from if you are going to arrest a high-profile person, like the whole night, or Boku, newly enskined Boku Naba, or even some other chief from any part of the country. All right. However, the manner in which they did it, you don't expect to go in without resistance. It's not possible. And what I mean by it could have been worse is if a shot was fired or anyone is gunned down, trust me, we could have had a lynching news story this afternoon. All right, and it's good. No shot was fired. and they had to withdraw. All right, I understand some damages were done. I don't know to what extent on the police station. So it leaves government with very limited options. All right, and I think at this point in time, what we should be looking forward to prevent is him going to Boku, because the other side is also waiting patiently to see what government does. Because according to them, I've spoken with a number of them on the ground. They told me that we are waiting, we are watching closely to see what government does. So government's hands are tight, and I'm hoping that at this time we postpone. I know this is a very difficult thing to say, but we re-look at arresting him immediately.
And do what?
And rather focus, we should engage the parties.
With the rival chief also in place?
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
With a rival chief, which has been described as illegal by the government.
I wouldn't describe him a rival chief because he's not recognized by the government. Okay, but definitely there's going to be a parallel authority, and that makes the whole situation very dicey. All right, that is why we have to also be very careful the way we approach it. We would have to resort to the carrot and stick approach. In as much as we sometimes have to use force, we also have to use persuasion. We have to use diplomatic channels, engage the site, and see how together, collectively, they can be partners to peace. There's not everything I can say on radio and TV, so you should understand me.
Right.
But surely the engagement bit of it is also important.
Mr. Sani, I appreciate that you could speak to us this afternoon.
My pleasure, always.
That's Adib Sani. He is a security analyst speaking to us on the situation in Boku. It's one that we'll continue to keep our eyes on and bring you details of as and when there are new developments. But you're listening to the news here on 3FM 92.7. We're taking you to Parliament this time around because the minority there, they've served notice that they will not approve by consensus nominees by the President for the various positions. At a press conference earlier, the minority leader, Dr. Kesela Tuforsen, said all 136 MPs will stand opposed to the nominees if the president fails to cut down on the number of ministers. And the latest from the NDC MPs follows a directive from the General Secretary of the party, Fifi Fiavikwete, calling on them not to approve any of the new ministerial nominees of the president who are pushing for a reduction in the size of government. Here is Dr. Kesela Tuforsen when he made the case strongly, including a call or a demand for the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, to be sacked.
In the NDC, stand united with our number of 136 for this expedition. We are calling on the following. 1. Immediate reduction in the numbers of ministers from the current level of 86 to 65. 2. The merger of the following ministries. For example, 1. Information and communications to be merged. 2. Transport and railways to be merged. Chieftaincy and tourism. 3. 4. Sanitation and local government. Presidential staffer in charge of NAPCO. 18. Office management executive associate. 19. Technical director of the presidential advisor on media. 20. Data manager. Colleagues, there are more. Finally, we reiterate our call for the dismissal of the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, whose gross incompetence in managing our economy has assumed legendary status. The president must spare Ghanaians the agony of waking up tomorrow to see Ken Ofori-Atta still in charge of the economy.
So that's Dr. Kesela Tuforsen. He's the minority leader. Komla Kluche is our parliamentary affairs correspondent. He's joined us on phone. So, Komla, that was the position of the NDC minority. Has there been a response from the majority counterparts to start off with?
Yes, the deputy majority leader, Alexander Fenye-Markens, who is the vice chairman of the appointment committee, has also been questioning the the morality of the minority to sit on the committee to vet the ministers if they know that they are not going to approve him. He makes the point that this simple action or intent, whichever way it is, really is stifling the efforts of government to get ministers approved and all that. He questions why would they come and sit at the committee to, so to speak, embarrass them when they know that they are not going to approve them. But for them as a majority, their resolve is that they will give up their maximum best and give the ministers the proper grading, so to speak, that they want. But I must say that the minority, despite all of this, they have indicated that they would go through the vetting. Yeah, they will grill the ministers, and from what has been going on so far, they are taking part in the vetting process. I must say that at the beginning of it, KT Amon is before the committee now. They have had some challenges with some of the responses that KT has been given, especially with what they term as his unseriousness before the committee. Because if you know KT Amon very well, some of the answers and how he's, a bit, for want of a better word, quite he makes it as a playful one. The minority has been incensed about it, but the chairman of the committee, Joe Wise, said it's his responsibility. He takes responsibility for some of the things that KT has been saying because he had allowed him to do that. But beyond that, they've been asking him questions on the AFCPA. They've also been asking him questions on the import trade volumes and all of that. So it's really expected that he will go through all of this, despite the position that the minority is taking.
Right, so that's Parliamentary Affairs colleague Blakk Rasta providing details from the legislature. Let's take you to Parliament and catch excerpt of the vetting process of KT Hammond.
The issue of how many children a person has when he's occupying a public office is important, especially in investigating nepotism. But it's not my question. So my first question will be, did you do national service, honorable nominee?
Yes, honorable KT. Number one, the universities were closed down, so we were sent home, and I think that probably would also have counted as the work that we went to do during the revolution. That is one. Number two, 2001, when I was vetted, I am clear that this matter came up, and I think I was granted exemption also at the time before I became the deputy minister in 2001. So I thought this matter has long been cleared.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, the nominee did not provide for us the letter exempting him from the post-call course and exams by the General Legal Counsel. I will wish that he does that as I move on to my next question.
If he was not exempted, he would not be called to the bar in Ghana. That I know for a fact. So let's proceed. It's not an issue.
And my second question relates to qualification, Mr. Chairman. The Constitution under Article 94(2) of the Constitution, a person shall not be qualified to be a member of Parliament if he, A, owes allegiance to a country other than Ghana, or B, has been adjudged or otherwise declared bankrupt, blah, blah, blah. Mr. Chairman, that's not my interest. My interest is in D, has been found by the report of a commission of, or a committee of inquiry to be incompetent to hold public office, or is a person in respect of whom a commission or committee of inquiry has found that while being a public officer, he acquired assets unlawfully, or defrauded the state, or misused or abused his office, or willfully acted in a manner prejudicial to the interest of the state, and the findings have not been set aside on appeal or judicial review. Mr. Chairman, based on this provision in the Constitution, I wish to get the nominees' response on a matter involving the sale of a drill ship in 2001 when he was Deputy Minister of Energy, a matter that came before the Judgment Commission, the Judgment Debt Commission, and the probe on that sale ended with the view that the honorable nominee before us represented both parties in the transaction, acting as the advisor to government, and also secured finance from a third party for the purchase of the ship from the government. The commission also noted that he had not disclosed his financial interest in the transaction and had taken advantage of his position to gain benefits for himself and his associates. Indeed, the commission concluded that Honorable K.T. Hammond had breached his fiduciary duties by facilitating the transaction without ensuring that the government received fair value for the drill ship. Mr. Chairman, I want to find out from the honorable nominee if this finding has been set aside.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure what he's reading. Is it his own printout or this is the government, whatever? I don't know what he's talking about. Let him give us properly what he's talking about. This is the first time in my life I'm hearing what he's talking about. So let him give us the documentation.
Let's make it clear. Yeah. Did you appear before any such commission?
I did, but...
Did the commission make any such finding to your...
Absolute balderdash. No, Mr. Chairman.
What did you say?
Mr. Chairman, no.
No, you use a word
Mr. Chairman,
which is totally unparliamentary.
Mr. Chairman,
please withdraw that.
Because I take the view that...
Please withdraw that.
Mr. Chairman, with respect to you, yes, I take it out and then say that...
I asked you whether they made such a... Your answer is no.
Mr. Chairman, no, there is no such findings about me.
Okay.
But that's the point that Mr. Chairman I'm making, that if he's reading something from his own...
Don't worry about that, please.
Mr. Chairman, part of the work we are doing here is to examine the nominee's temperament. So the nominee must ensure that he answers questions with the right temperament, regardless. We are colleagues. And obviously, if your colleague asks you a question, you have a duty to answer those questions. You may be provoked, but please, the use of those words is unparliamentary and it shouldn't be repeated. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. That word is withdrawn. But Mr. Chairman, I think you would also be conscious of the fact that colleagues we are, but orchestrated calibration of stuff like that.
I asked you a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Your answer was to me.
Thank you.
If I felt offended,
thank you.
But I asked you to withdraw it, you have withdrawn.
It wasn't directed towards you, Mr. Chairman. You realize that, but it's withdrawn. No, that's long withdrawn.
Yes, Honorable, kindly continue.
Mr. Chairman, since he has demanded that I provide the source document that I used to ask the question, I take it that we are still on that question. And so I can make a presentation on the government white paper that was presented and get his response.
I asked him, he says he is not aware of any such finding on him. So if there's any such finding on him, kindly table it so that it will...
Mr. Chairman, I wish to table the government, the Judgment Debt Commission report and the government white paper on it. I wish to submit it. Thank you. It's in soft copy now. I will submit it immediately. We are done. Mr. Chairman, it is allowed.
Hard copy, don't have.
Mr. Chairman, it is allowed.
Hard copy.
It is allowed. Mr. Mr. Chairman, besides Honorable, it's okay. All right. Honorable members, can I have some order, please? Well, I'll take it that you will bring a copy to me so that I'll share it to the members. Please proceed. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I mean, the judgment, that commission report, and the government white paper are public documents, and so I will just submit them accordingly. I will move on to the next issue. Question number 2.
Sir, no, Mr. Chairman.
I want to. Sorry.
Can I?
May I find out from the honorable nominee if he has a breaking point? I mean, at what point, for example, will you ever consider resigning from a public office? What are some of the things that will make you, for example, offer your resignation, to your appointing authority?
Yes, honorable.
Mr. Chairman, I don't quite comprehend the question.
Is there anything that will get you to resign if this question, if you're not approved?
It's a difficult question to answer. Okay, yes. You're talking about a situation when this house approves me and I go to the ministry. Is that what it's talking about? Is that it, Honorable? Yeah, sure. Well, obviously, if the chief executive, who will be the president, and I have fundamental disagreement, then of course that's a good ground to say thank you very much and walk away.
Yes, the next question, please.
Mr. Chairman, I will leave it here because I do not have many followers, but just to put on record that Honorable K.T. Hammond actually took a case against the government of Ghana on this report that he claims he has no knowledge of, using Egbert Fable as his lawyer, and he's under oath. Thank you.
FM 92.7. 3FM 92.7. 3FM 92.7. 3FM 92.7.
Do not know what he is talking about, because that has never been in any publication as far as I'm concerned. It isn't the Apple report he is read out there, and it is no other report that is talked about. I think this should be on record.
Do you have the Apple report?
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman.
Would you like to tell
Of course, Mr. Chairman. It is the only document that I decided to bring around. Whoever is around, Mr. Chairman, they can hand it over to you. I do have it.
The clerk will take it.
Because that has never been in any publication as far as I'm concerned. It isn't the Apple report he is read out there, and it is no other report that is talked about. I think this should be on record.
Do you have the Apple report?
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman.
Would you like to tell
Of course, Mr. Chairman. It is the only document that I decided to bring around. Whoever is around, Mr. Chairman. Actually, let's put it in perspective. I heard somebody say it over there. The Apple report was not published in its entirety. What happened was that after the report, as is done in this matter, is sent to the...
Can we have some order, please? Order.
It is sent to the person who instituted it, and then government puts up the white paper. This is the white paper, its findings and conclusions.
Yes, you said you wanted to ask a question?
3FM 92.7.
So details of the ongoing vetting of medicine designate for trade and industry the Honorable Katie Hammond. There'll be a lot more on this for you if you stay with us, particularly on 3FM and on Facebook. Follow the stream on Facebook, sister station TV3. Menuafu, my colleague, is next with the very latest from the world of business. I am Eric Mawina Egbeta. Pleasure that you could be a part of this afternoon's bulletin.